Welcome to Sally Speaks Mindset. I'm your host, Sally Arkell Bowles, and this podcast is really dedicated to empowering women in midlife to rediscover their purpose, their passion, and their joy. And we dive deep into unlocking the potential of your midlife through your mindset and through strategies that can help you to have success. And today I'm extremely excited to have Brigitte Münch here. And she is a business coach for female entrepreneurs and consultants and coaches in their first 3 years. She's passionate about simplifying your business and your life. And so you can get the most get yourself out of overwhelm. Oh my gosh, who hasn't experienced that when they're starting out in business? And into the straightforward strategies to attract your ideal clients and get the income coming in into your bank account. Now, Brigitte is also got a proven framework, the 4 B's of business, which she works with you to nail down your niche, create a clear message, and craft a compelling market offer so you attract the clients that you really enjoy working with. She also helps you to develop your entrepreneurial mindset to set you up for success. You will finally have the clarity and confidence to go out there, get your business off the ground, and make the impact that you truly wish and desire in your business. So Brigitte, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Sally.
So now where are you tuning in from?
I live in Switzerland. I'm not Swiss. I grew up in northern Germany, where the landscape is very, very flat. I'm always joking a bit, I'm born 4 meters above sea level, and now my comfort zone is on 4,000. So I live in Zurich, Switzerland, and during the winters also in the mountains, really in the Alps, in the southwestern part.
Nice, that's beautiful. I'll have to come and visit sometime because it's just such a gorgeous area. And my husband and I have lived in many areas of Canada in the mountain areas, and it's one of our passions to be out in the mountains and really enjoy that. Yeah. So now tell us a bit more about you.
A bit more about me. So as I said, I'm born and raised in the northern part of Germany. And I started my career as a musician. Okay. So I somehow comforted the creative side inside of me. And noticed quite quickly, though, that it was my passion to play instruments and to make music. But this practice side and the theory side was not really my thing. And I don't want to say I lost my joy because I had to do it suddenly, but it was a different thing. It's when you suddenly realize, okay, I have to make a living from this now, and I have to do this. It's such a different situation. And then I switched completely and became a tech lawyer.
Oh, wow.
And worked in the tech legal space for almost 20 years in private practice and for many, many years in the corporate environment, which I enjoyed, but not that much anymore in the end. I enjoyed it first. I enjoyed the working with colleagues all over the world who had very different professional and cultural backgrounds, and I was always curious to explore more about the stories of people. And I enjoyed leading teams and bringing people together, work with communication, and mentored a lot of young lawyers. But in the end, it was a bit, this corporate jacket became a bit too tight. So that was how it felt for me. So I couldn't really be creative. There were always a lot of processes and policies and procedures to follow. And I found that a bit restrictive. And as it is in corporate environments, the next restructuring round happened, and I took the chance and left the boat. And at that time I lived in Sweden, and I was missing the Alps. I was missing the mountains, being a passionate mountaineer. And it was really a time in my life where I thought, where do I want to live? What do I want to do? you could call it midlife crisis or whatever you want to call it. I would rather say it's a midlife gift, because you can change tracks, you can recalibrate your whole life, and you have made a lot of experiences, and it was really for me pressing the reset button and think from scratch. What do I want? Where do I want to live? How do I want to fill my days? And I made the decision to move to Switzerland, a country I truly, truly love. And started my own business. Not immediately, but after 2 years in Switzerland, I started my own thing. And I'm super grateful that I did.
That's awesome. I mean, I think we have a very similar journey. I wasn't a musician, but I had a passion for fashion.
Yeah.
At the beginning of my career, and that's what I ended up pursuing, and became a fashion buyer for many organizations throughout the initial part of my career. But as time went on, you kind of lose the fashion because you're just into the passion for the fashion for me, because I was more into learning all about the business elements of it, and knew that I had transferable skills now to a business perspective. Because, buying for one organization is the same as buying for another. You have a budget, you have to spend it, you have to create it, and you have to manage it. And so I think that my passion grew into something that was bigger than what I initially thought, because it took me down all sorts of different angles. And also similar to what you did, when I chose to leave my corporate career in 2019, it was my choice as well. Because I also found that I was at that midlife stage, and it's like, there's got to be more life. And how can I create my life on my terms now, compared to what I thought I needed to do because of what the societal norms state, right? Have your job, get your pension, retire, and your life will be perfect. Well, I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling like there was still more that I could do and create. And that's what I'm getting from you, that you moved to the mountains, you moved to where you really truly wanted to be, and created a whole different lifestyle. And now you're creating this new business. So tell us a little bit about that journey to create this new business.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear. And I think, definitely, maybe we have a second podcast about our own stories.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now I work as a business coach for female consultants and coaches who are starting their entrepreneurial journey. And what I realized when I started was, well, a couple of things. So first of all, moving from employment to entrepreneurship is quite special, and you have to take your mind with you.
Yes.
And Sally speaks mindset, right? I think we talk about mindset here, and it's, of course, the financial side of things. As an employee, you have your regular income, and it's, no matter really what you do or not, you get your money and you have your vacation days, and you don't really have to worry where it comes from. And I think it's also the fact that it's coming from a company.
Right.
Whereas many consultants and coaches work with individuals, and they face money blocks. Can I really charge for my services now? But it's a person, and they are at the beginning of their entrepreneurial journey. They are just building up a business, and can they spend money, and can I take money, and this whole money thing. And suddenly a lot of money blocks pop up.
Right.
And honestly, I didn't even realize it in the beginning that was something I was struggling with. I detected it over time for myself. And of course, I got coaching certifications, and I had worked as a mentor during my corporate career. But building up a business, as you said before, the business side of things is a different pair of shoes. And I had to grow into these shoes, and I had to understand, okay, now I have a business, I have to market myself, and I hated the word marketing.
Like most entrepreneurs do, they have a passion, but they don't want to do that marketing because it feels icky.
Yeah, which is weird, isn't it? Because we want
Mhm.
to help people. We build, or at least consultants, coaches,
Mhm.
healers, creatives, whoever those people are, they want to help other people and serve other people, but they don't want to market themselves, which
Right.
means in the end, marketing is offering your services to
Mhm.
someone who needs the help. And if
Right.
you see it from that perspective, it changes things.
Mhm.
It's a little shift in how you view marketing.
Yes.
But for many, as you say, this word marketing somehow, yeah, makes people feel bad.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it is one of the struggles that I see a lot of people that are, especially those that have left the corporate world and go into their own businesses, is
yeah.
that they really do struggle with how do I generate income? You know, I've
Mm,
got all this stuff and I love sharing it in posts and I love just being that person that everybody it has a great conversation with. But so many coaches and consultants end up giving away all of their expertise for free because they
yeah,
just love to share.
yeah.
Um, and they're not understanding the business side of generating that income.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
and I
how,
think women do it even more than men. Maybe it's a stereotype, but that's what I observe.
Mhm,
I think women have a different relationship to money very often. Not all of
mhm.
them, of course, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think so as well. And I think it's just part of probably the societal norm and expectation
Hmm.
to be kind and friendly and nice and giving, but
Hmm.
not asking,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah, care for others and please
mhm,
others, and we put ourselves on the very last place in the row,
mhm.
in the queue, right? Yeah.
So now what are some of the strategies that you might have used for people to be able to break through that money block?
Well, for me, it's different things. So I work with money mindset, but that's only a part of it.
Mhm.
And I try to dig deeper. Where does it come from?
Mm,
So what is your relationship to money?
yes.
And how did you build that relationship?
Mm,
And well, like many things, it's somehow rooted in our childhood. How did our parents deal with money? How did they manage it? Did I grow up in a very poor household? Or sometimes it also happens that women had very rich parents and they feel ashamed because their parents were rich. So
mhm,
now they are ashamed to earn money and make money themselves.
mhm,
So really have a look into where do these own limitations we are setting on ourselves come from?
mhm.
And
I
then
think,
also, if you think a bit broader, it's really, yeah, being comfortable or becoming comfortable with the fact that you don't have a steady stream of income when you
mhm,
start out, at least not from your business. But
right.
maybe there are other places where money comes in,
Mhm,
to explore that. Where does money come from?
mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, I think, for a lot of people, it comes down to also having come from corporate positions where you're just getting a paycheck regardless, and you
Exactly.
just expect it. When we become an entrepreneur, we don't expect it. We think
Hmm.
it's hard to attract. And
Yeah,
so changing that to an expectation that no, it's easy. I have
yeah.
such a great service, changing that mindset or that thought pattern to just shift it to say,
Hmm.
it's so much easier than in my corporate, as opposed to, oh, this is really hard compared to corporate. I used to go to work and I'd get paid regardless. And
Yeah.
now it's such a struggle. And so
Mm-hmm.
all of those paradigms I find come up with my clients as well when they're really starting to build their businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, even when they got to a certain plateau,
Oh yeah,
right?
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So now what were the biggest mistakes that when you started your business, that you had to overcome?
Let me start with focus.
Mm,
So I found it super hard to focus on the right things.
yeah.
And again, I hadn't learned how to build a business. So I was trying, to get a lot of input online, and I attended webinars and downloaded all this free stuff. And then I booked courses and read marketing books and all of these things. But a lot of the things were really directed to growing a business and not to starting a business. Yeah. And really get the foundations right, get this total clarity for myself. What is my business about? What do I offer to the market and to whom? Which problem do I solve? So that was a big one for me. And it took me, I would say, too long to really get the right help, also to ask for help. I thought I have to figure everything out on my own.
Right.
And that led to overwhelm. And I was so exhausted. I was working a lot, but didn't get the results. And then these financial worries kicked in. Yeah, that was a big mistake. So not focusing on the right stuff and not getting help immediately, trying to figure it out all on my own.
Well, and I think also because most people that are starting a business today are really depending on social media a lot for their sourcing of potential clients. And yet a lot of people are, while they're in there trying to source, they're finding all of these other freebie courses, or try this or try that. And all of a sudden you've got 25 different things that you're trying to try and get to one client. And it just becomes a mishmash as opposed to that focus. What I'm hearing from you is like focusing on some basics to be able to create the business in the direction that's going to make you have that strong foundation, and then from there be able to grow into other elements that you might find are comfortable for you within that dimension of all the different areas that you could go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also the fact that business is built on connections to people.
Yes.
So I tended to hide away, and I see that with many of my clients also, hide away behind building a nice website, which was never beautiful enough, and having a logo, and I need business cards, and I need to attend networking events, but then not realizing, okay, it's all about the connection I make with people while talking about my business in a very clear and specific way. And this connection piece also, in the end, not really daring to go out there and talk because I'm not confident talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that come from corporate, they're used to having a title for their position. So they would probably go out and say, oh, I'm Sarah and I'm a life coach. Right? And that would be it.
Yeah.
Because they're used to having a title, and people would say, oh, you're an accountant? Great, I know what you do. You're a lawyer? Great, I know what you do.
Exactly. It was so
What's
easy.
your specialty, people would ask. But when you go and give something, that's your new title, because we've been trained to talk about our titles. It doesn't give the client or the potential client an opportunity to really understand what that transformation is going to be if we choose to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that's a very interesting challenge too for a lot of new business owners. So, when you're working with people on their branding and different, I guess, verbiage on what they're going to be saying to promote themselves, is that a big part of the marketing that you're working with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So messaging is one of the elements. And that goes back to clarity. Clarity is key. So again, if you're not clear about your business, which problem you resolve for whom and why you do this whole thing, what are you talking about? How are you talking about it? And people who are confused don't buy from you.
Exactly.
So it's this clarity part is where everything starts, in my opinion. So I'm working a lot on clarity. Okay. Who and what are you doing, and why did you start this whole thing? Because the why behind it, our vision, is really, or some people call it purpose, or however you want to call it, that's permeating into your whole message and everything you put out there. So if you're not clear on why you do things and what and for whom, how do you ever market? How do you ever talk about your business in a clear and specific way so that people trust you and see you as an expert and turn to you and pay you for your services?
Right, exactly. That's awesome. So now, many people I know that start a business, constantly on what I would call on duty, which then puts them into overwhelm and exhaustion. So how do you manage through that with your clients?
Setting boundaries.
Mm,
Setting boundaries is something I was very bad in, also in the corporate world. I took on everything and I said yes to everything. Maybe that's also a female thing, I suppose. And really setting boundaries, schedule time for yourself and see it as if you had an appointment with your client. Make space for yourself, however you use it. Find out what brings you energy. For some, it's journaling, meditating, yoga, exercising, running, being with family, being with friends, cooking a nice dinner, whatever it might be. But schedule it in
right.
and stick to it. It becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And for me, it's definitely being outdoors, being in nature. Yeah. And I go out once a day at least. And in the beginning, I remember I had days where I reached the evening and then I thought, "Moo, I haven't even been to the letterbox today." You know? I was just sitting at home. It was also the COVID time. So everyone was sitting at home and I work a lot online because I have clients from all over the world. And then I was just sitting at my desk, 12 hours.
Yeah.
No fresh air, no sunlight, no
No, isn't
nothing.
it crazy?
And that was a poor life in a way. And I thought, this is not what I wanted for myself. So I totally had to change that and learn it to set these boundaries.
Yeah. And I oftentimes call that giving myself permission
Yeah.
to do what's important for me in my calendar as well. And, last week we were moving across the country and I just gave myself permission to just be present in that drive and that move with my spouse and to just really enjoy what was going on and not jump onto my computer as soon as we got to the hotel room and make sure that everything was going okay. It's like, you know what, I can put out of office in my own business just like I did in my corporate job. Giving yourself that permission to not have to be a slave to your business is a huge part when you're starting your business. Because it's so easy to get drawn into think that you have to do all of these different things. But a little distinction I use when I'm even doing my to-do list is I get to. It's my I get to list. I get to do this. I get to do that. And I keep it to about 4 items in a day. Because those are the things that are going to be the things that are moving the dial forward. Those 3 or 4 things that I put on my get to list, and the rest of the things are just tasks that can be thrown in where needed. And so I've really worked on that with my clients, but also for myself, because I think there's some little distinctions we can make, and that's what I'm hearing you say, for our clients to make sure that they're taking care of their own personal and mental health. Because now that most of us are working from our homes, it can be really lonely, even though you're on Zoom or whatever it is, talking to people all day or networking through, chats and things like that. It's not the same.
No.
Still have.
Yeah. I agree with you. And it's kind of weird, isn't it? That we have to give ourselves permission to do that.
Isn't it?
But
it
yeah,
is so important because we can just put head down and then you start to resent your work now. And you start
and you need the energy. I mean, it's you want to be present in your client calls and in your client meetings, and you want to be present and have the energy to put out nice content there and to create materials and to have good conversations. So you definitely need that energy, and it doesn't help anyone if you just use it. And I mean, you charge your phone every day.
Right.
What about charging yourself? No, it's really, it's
That's
weird,
a great
isn't
analogy.
it? Yeah.
True, right? You have to plug it in to keep it going.
Yeah, you put fuel into the tank of your car. What about yourself?
Yeah. I agree. And as women, it's especially difficult because we're so used to, switching from one hat to the next. The mom and the cook and the cleaner and the house, the wife and everything else that we have to be.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another question. You also work as a ski instructor and you work on coaching young athletes. So tell me why that's a part of your life as well. And what do
Yeah.
you say about that?
Well, the one word, very simple answer is passion.
Mm.
And I mentioned it before, right? That I moved from Sweden to Switzerland, that it was a very intentional decision I made.
Mhm.
And being a Northern German, it was not really self-explaining that I become a ski instructor.
Yeah.
The landscape is very flat in Germany. And I came to Switzerland when I was a child, and that was really by coincidence. So my parents were no mountaineers or anything. So it was a coincidence that I ended up here in one Easter vacation and started to learn skiing, and I just loved it. And I used to work in that ski school where I learned skiing myself as a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, already when I went to university, and it was a given more or less for me to pursue that passion also when I'm in Switzerland. And when I jumped from corporate, when I made the leap, I took a break, and that was over winter, and I worked in my ski school where I
Yeah.
learned skiing 40 years ago. I just worked there as a ski instructor, and I loved it so much that I now combine things. And what I realize is that coaching young athletes and being in sports, being a mountaineer, has a lot of parallels to business. Right, you're working towards a goal, and you have to deal with the outer conditions, which can change quite quickly. And building a business is a roller coaster as well. You have to train, you have to prepare, you have to surround yourself by the right people, build up a team, collaborations, partnerships in your business, and have a good equipment and have mental strength.
Right.
That's something I see young people who are athletes struggling with sometimes. So it's also the overwhelm. They have their school, they have their families and parental expectations.
Yes.
What if they have an accident and they can't train for a while? What about competition? How to deal with pressure? All these things are very parallel to business building. And I just love it. I can combine the two things now, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah, and I absolutely believe that athletes, they have a lot of resilience because they go through so many disappointments or so many challenges along the path. And one of those, especially in competitions, they've done their visualization, they've seen themselves winning the race, and then something happens, and then they have to pick back up, or someone ends up being better than them, and that disappointment, and how do they come out of that and still continue?
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that have professional athletes in their families, and it's a constant roller coaster, but without a strong team beside them to be able to help them to get them back on track sooner than later, and helping them with that mindset plus the skill set, it can be really challenging. So absolutely, it mirrors business completely. So I think it's no doubt to me why you're successful in that as well. You're a woman of many talents. So
Yeah.
now, as you were talking about earlier, as in your introduction, we were talking about that was your four B's to success. Do you want to just give us a quick overview on what those would be?
Yeah. It's for me, I mean, you know all these names and fancy titles for frameworks, but I realized that there are a lot of C's, like confidence and clarity, in my work, but also for really important B's. And the first one is just breathe.
Oh, nice.
Really calm down. Let's cut through the noise. Let's focus on the foundations you need right now at the start of your business. Don't start with complicated sales funnels or costly ads or the goal of having 100,000 followers on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever you are. Focus on the foundations and breathe. Take a step back. It's feeding into the boundaries we were talking about earlier. It's setting boundaries and focus on the most important things, and don't try to do steps 5 to 120 before you have done steps 1 to 4. It's not going to work. You will not build up a sustainable business. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but that's really my experience and what I see. And then it's become clear. It's the clarity piece. So breathe, become clear, crystal clear on what you're doing, whom you are doing it, who are the people you want to work with. It's also very often that clients come and say, well, I seem to attract this and that group of people. And say, okay, but do you want to work with them? I would rather work with another group. Okay, so let's focus on them, right? Become really clear what you do and for whom. And then build a compelling offer. Build the offer and the right price tag. And then we are back to the money mindset. The right price tag for it. And if you start a business and you don't have experience, you haven't worked with a lot of clients, you're so insecure how to price your things. And then how do you do a sales call?
Yeah.
If you don't have a compelling and clear offer. So let's build that offer together. And by the way, I'm also not a friend of what is very often taught out there. Your price is your self-worth. I don't think that this is true. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on in that pillar also. And then be bold. Be bold. Go out there and proudly talk about your business. Where do you do that? Where do you find your clients? You know, it doesn't really matter if you want to work in person and you have to find the groups in person where you sell your things, where you can offer your things, or if you do it online. I mean, the strategies are a bit different, but still be bold, be proud to be out there and offer your help. Yeah.
I mean, there's always people out there that are looking just for you.
Yeah.
You just don't know it.
Yeah.
So if you're not bold, they can't find you.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know where to find you. So that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. The 4 Bs.
The 4 Bs of Brigitte.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So now I really appreciate everything that you've shared today. So how can our followers connect with you?
The easiest way is on LinkedIn. So find my profile. I don't know if you share it, Sally, I guess it's
yes, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. And just send me a DM, connect with me, whatever. That's I appreciate it a lot. I love to be in conversation also with you. So don't be shy, be bold, reach out and connect with me.
That's
on
awesome.
LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Brigitte. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know that there are so many consultants and coaches out there that are starting in their business that don't know where to start, are going based off of what somebody else is, maybe they've seen somebody else on socials or their friend has told them this is what I did. But I love that you have some structure around it that really helps people to fine tune who their market is, what they're going to be doing, getting that clarity in their messaging, which is really, really important. Talking about that they're pulling together their offer, because as I know, and you've probably experienced as well, offers range from anywhere from freebie to thousands and thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands of dollars. But what's going to be the one that's going to be the most for you? What's going to be the best price for you and your clients, and also what's the offer going to have in it? Because sometimes what we believe, we need a second set of eyes on it to really
Yeah.
help to master it. So I love that piece of it. And then being bold.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about when you're going for an interview for a company, you're usually pretty confident because you know you can do the job and you're wanting to work for that organization. So bringing that same boldness to your own business is what's really required. So I love the 4 Bs. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because so many think, okay, but I'm new to business now, and I'm a new coach. I'm just starting my own business as a consultant. But you are not a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people forget that they are not a total newbie.
Yeah.
They are already an expert in their field, and you can be bold because you have the experience and expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is be one step ahead of your potential client.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
people
grow
think
with your
you have
clients.
something that you have to offer to them. That's
Exactly.
all it is.
Yeah, and very often it's not even that, to be honest. It's if you hold up a mirror, just by observing and listening to your client, you will be able to help them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, building up the confidence. Be bold.
Yeah, be bold.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
And do reach out to Brigitte. She is on LinkedIn, and we will put that in the show comments for everybody to find her because we don't want to keep her a secret.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
and if you
much.
want to learn skiing, reach out as well. I'm here
Oh,
for
there we
you.
go. What about music? Awesome. Take care.
Thank you, Sally. Thanks a lot.